I wanted to start with a conversation that I feel like it was sparked in a way from our post game show the other night, where we had some comments talking about the Islanders selling and some questions about the Islanders buying, and not necessarily related to like, hey, the Islanders win over Tampa Bay from Tuesday night. Like, what does that mean? Just kind of more overarching theme. And I guess with my question, how I'm going to phrase it to you to get us started here is with where the Islanders are in the standings, which they are in the mix. They are tied. They have 31 points, same as the Flyers and Penguins, who are ahead of them and in the number 1 and number 2 wild card spot. Has your opinion changed at all on what you think the Islanders should be doing? You're shaking your head no.
No, I don't think anyone else has. Although, like, we are bringing this up, so I shouldn't say no one else has, because it clearly is. We saw comments in our post game show the other day, like the Isles need to stand pat with what the plan is, or they need to buy young now and to fill the holes left by Alex Romanov and Kyle Palmieri, and because they're injured for months on end here. For me, it's a pushback on the idea that we need to buy to fill holes. We need to, if we're buying, it's to buy long term. And I don't, right now is not the time to do that. There aren't going to be players available at a reasonable cost to do so. Like, I thought there was something out there for the price on like some random guy from Vancouver. I forget who it was someone on the third line. And it was like a first plus, and we're going, what the shit? Like that's stupid prices, right? And so like that is not where we need to be right now. We need to be a little bit more patient.
Yeah, no, with I think it was Kiefer Sherwood.
Yes, that's the one. You're right.
Which God bless them. If they get a first round pick for Kiefer Sherwood back, God bless him. That is not the move that I think the Islanders should make. He is a 30-year-old expiring UFA at the end of the year. Good value contract for the production that he's giving you. But my answer, or the point that I was going to make, is I don't want to come on here and say 100% no that they should not buy, because there are outliers or exceptions to the rule. And really I'm not like actively shopping like we got to get someone in here now, like for instance a Kiefer Sherwood. However, if the right deal became available for a controllable player who is, I'll say 25 years old or younger, that is different. And honestly, the player that I would be targeting really wouldn't be a replacement for either Alex Romanov or a replacement for Kyle Palmieri. The thing that interests me the most is a right-handed shot defenseman that could be paired with Matthew Schaefer long-term.
I totally agree. Like, if in some wild scenario, the New Jersey Devils general manager, Tom Fitzgerald, is it Tom Fitzgerald or Tom Fitzpatrick? Fitzgerald,
right,
has some sort of brain issue, and he's like, I need to trade Simon Nemec today, then yeah, hop on the phone and try to make that work. But outside of that, like, we aren't in a shop now mode. And I don't understand people are looking to fill those roles. Like, I understand you want players to put in those positions, but this is an evaluation year. We've got guys in the farm that could step up, but we should evaluate to see how they're doing, if they can fill that role eventually, because those roles are going to need to be filled. We need left-handed defensemen, maybe not a ton, because we have a ton in the system, but if we can find better ones than we currently have, then let's friggin' go. We could probably use a third pair left-handed defenseman. If we can find one, let's freaking go. Righties, we don't have a ton of those, but forwards, right? Depth forwards. Yeah, we got some. Maggio's doing very well. Alex Jeffries has been very good for a while now. Like, let's give them a shot instead of having to make trades today to do that. Like, let's take the time to evaluate those players now instead of making these trades and mortgaging future that you don't need to do right now.
Correct. And I think that's the most important part to this conversation is not mortgaging your future in trying to go for it right now. To me, that feels like it'd be you're putting a Band-Aid on it. And if the Islanders were in a different spot, for instance, great example, 2021, Anders Lee gets hurt. They trade for Kyle Palmieri and Travis Zajac.
Sure.
Very, very different scenario. They were just in the Eastern Conference Final the year prior. They were one of the better teams in their division. They were a playoff team, obviously, that year and went far. They went back to the Eastern Conference Final, but very different circumstance than where they are now. For this year, at least for in our minds, if the Islanders make the playoffs, that's almost a bonus to us. I don't want to, trade the Colorado pick for. I'm just going to keep going back to that Kiefer Sherwood example.
Sure.
To bring in a 30-year-old rental and try to scratch and claw and get your way to the second wild card spot in year one, and then like he leaves in free agency. That doesn't do anything for me.
No, because the whole point of what we're trying to do here is not open a window now for maybe a year or two. And even then it'd be debatable if we're opening a window. Like let's just, even if we're picking up someone who's 28 type of thing and is putting up near a point per game, type of production, which is unlikely, but let's just dream here a little bit. How long does that open the window? Because it's not going to extend it very long, I think.
No,
with the team that we have. This is about figuring out who we've got and what our baseline is, and then it's adding these pieces that can be here for 5 to even maybe 10 years. Maybe the 10 years might be long, but at least 5 years type of thing, and 5 peak years. Like when you're bringing in a 28-year-old, they're exiting their peak maybe in a year. Whereas you bring in a 25-year-old, or let's just say Cole Eiserman type of thing, a 21-year-old, well, that he's not even in his peak necessarily just yet as it's coming in. So much different in terms of the longevity of said window being open. And I think that's going to be the plan, is just how close are we to the window being opening is the point of this year.
Right. And I think you find that out by evaluating what you have and not trading assets for additional pieces to change the formula, right? And I get it. Like, yes, and we didn't even mention like Pajot's hurt too. So you have Pajot, who's going to come back at some point, but is week to week. Palmieri and a defenseman. Those are, some pretty key pieces. But to the Islanders' credit, they won a big game on Tuesday. They kind of snapped their skid, at least for the interim. And I think you got to just let it play out and see what happens. Like Maxim Shabanov is getting a look at the top line and played well with Heineman and Horvat. I want to see that continue. I don't necessarily see a point of trading for a 30-year-old to put up there for half a season. Cal Ritchie is getting his ice time as a third line center right now. I don't want to trade for a veteran stopgap if Pajot was out longer than we thought, right? Like it doesn't really change my stance on how I view this season, even if they are, producing ahead of our expectations. I believe they're on a 94-point pace. I didn't think they would be a 94. I shouldn't say that. I thought there was a world where they could hood it, but like that was the top end of the range for me. I thought they would be likely where they were a year ago, around the 500 team, maybe plus or minus a few points, depending on how things break. But like, I'm just very much so team, like, let's let this play out. And I still think, Pajot's going to come back at some point. I have a really hard time not moving off of him. And I feel like we bring this up at least once a week on the show. But I have a hard time not cashing in on that value for a player who's going to be a UFA. And I think is going to get some decent money, man. Especially with where the cap is and how he's been playing this year. I keep saying it, teams value players like that. He'll probably get he's getting $5 million now. I don't know if we could hope for that discount, right? I think he could cash in and get maybe not as many years as what he got the last time, but a few years and maybe he's closer to $6 million, which I don't think the Islanders are in a position with where they are in their retooling process to be signing guys like that.